All right, good viewers out there. Thank you for joining on tonight's program, People's Parliament. I am your host, Mr. Ako Christian Chair, otherwise known as Due Process. I want to welcome you, my guests on Zoom, Mr. Musa, as well as the other guest that has just joined. Thank you for joining. NHL Jepson, they have just joined. In case you're just joining, please kindly rename your device so that we can easily identify you and address you accordingly. So on tonight's People's Parliament, we are taking a look at the trending unfortunate headline of the assassination attempt on His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi at Edo State. And this assassination is not just coming as a surprise because the Edo State Governor, Monday Okpebolo, has previously threatened that if His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi should enter Edo State, whatsoever he sees, he should embrace it. And there was yet another threat from someone in Edo State working with the state government that issued a threat that they are currently enjoying the current governor, that they don't need any opposition in the states. I mean, does that sound logical? That a sitting governor will just declare that they don't want any opposition. That is cool. We're fortunate that we're having this kind of a situation at hand. And the state government is yet to make any official declaration in condemning the attacks, as well as any formal investigation being initiated. We are yet to see that. Is the APC government trying to pass a message ahead of 2027? If that's the case, then they should as well brace up because Nigerian masses will not watch them silence all opposition figures under the guise of one-party system. There should be freedom of association. I can choose today to be a member of PDP, choose to be a member of APC as well, even though they are a demonic party. I can choose to be a member of the Labour Party. I can choose even not to be a member of any political party. Why should the government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu coerce everyone into a single party system? Look at all the sitting governors. They have all been coerced into APC. And looking at in terms of, is it in terms of performance of the sitting president? What are the reasons that have justified the erosion of opposition government officials into the APC? To the extent that there is no more National Assembly, all we have is rubber stamp. And you can see how that was manifested even during the electoral reform. In any case, the bulk of the decider lies on the table of the masses. The masses at the end of the day will decide for themselves who becomes the next president of Nigeria, as well as whoever emerges as the next House of Rep member, the next senator for the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the next governor. All this will be decided by the masses. Another thing left is for the masses to understand the rights, the obligations, the responsibility of a citizen. Even though we understand we are not currently citizens as expected, but in the eyes of the Constitution, we remain citizens, and we should be able to take our place and act accordingly. We currently have a state capture, and everybody cannot sit down and fold their arms, waiting for His Excellency Mr. P2B to do everything. He's playing his own part. As you can see, he was even attacked while trying to play his own part. But he's never bothered. He's never going to relent. He will continue to play his own part. I got a very nasty text from a friend in Mina who was like, he shared a viral video to me where the person was, the guy was like mocking His Excellency Mr. P2B that his followers has dropped. And the last time when he entered, he bought a flight with him in November. It's not the same organic followership as it is when he bought a flight with him around February. And I said to that person, it's not about His Excellency Mr. P2B, it's about you and I. Because the guy was like, his message to His Excellency Mr. P2B, aligning himself with that viral video. I was like, no, it's not just about His Excellency Mr. P2B, it's about you and I. And I made a reference to a situation in Mina currently where there's no potable water. As a matter of fact, people are starving. There's no water to cook, no water to bathe, no water to drink. People are not buying sachet water to bathe and manage. That is how bad the situation is. And it's all as a result of what? Bad government. You may think maybe you don't need government, right? You may think you are okay, but one way or the other, we are all victims waiting to happen. If it doesn't get to you by virtue of non-provision of water, electricity, security, hunger, even failure of the system affects. So we are all victims. Even though we pretend to be nice, to be okay, it's all going to happen to us. So I have three major headlines, even though there are multiple headlines. The first is dedicated to the assassination attempt by the Edo State governor, allegedly, who has issued a threat previously and has seen to have perfected that threat. Well, there are multiple implications to that attempt. One, that attempt has revealed the plans of the APC going into 2027. So everybody has to roll up our sleeve and be ready. Two, should anything happen to His Excellency Mr. P2B, by virtue of any form of attack, the APC government will be held responsible, particularly Edo State Governor Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Should anything happen to His Excellency Mr. P2B, he will be held responsible. Three, it has shown the attack against His Excellency Mr. P2B has shown the weakness. I mean, everybody is trying to shy away from it, but I'll say it. It has exposed the weakness of the Obidient Movement. The Obidient Movement that we had in 2023 is not the same as what we have. We now have Obidient Movement that is reduced to following His Excellency Mr. P2B around. I mean, when they should be busy moving from community to community, building on the momentum of 2023, the whole thing failed. We have to tell ourselves the truth. The Obidient Movement has failed. It has failed woefully. It started with the FCT area council election. It was rigged in broad daylight. Nobody was there to move a muscle. As a matter of fact, the Obidient Movement were waiting for logistics to be able to go to Puli unit and defend. As in, does that make sense? That shows that the pattern of recruitment of this leadership of the Obidient Movement is faulty from top to bottom. It's faulty because you're trying to rescue your country. You don't wait for anybody. You take the bull by the horn. You take the first initiative, you take the first step without even waiting for anybody. That was the move. That was the organic nature of 2023. And today, that spirit is no more. So something very, very urgent before the end of this month has to be done on the leadership of the Obidient Movement. There has to be a recalibration. As a matter of fact, the Obidient Movement needs to be handed over back to the support group that started the movement. There were support groups like POSN, Take Back Nigeria, like the Big Tent. I mean, multiple support groups, CPO, all doing their thing. Which other one? Like Minds for Peter Obi. You know, these are different support groups. There are over hundreds of these support groups. They were doing their things organically, raising their funds, having structures across the country that were doing one thing or the other. All of a sudden, they were all sidelined in the formation of the structure of the Obidient Movement. And that's the genesis of the failure of the Obidient Movement. Now, the Obidient Movement that we have today cannot move an inch until it's mobilized. That's not the kind of Obidient Movement that we want. We want Obidient Movement that will be self-initiative. A Obidient Movement that will be proactive on our own. By now, one expects that Obidient Movement should have offices across the federation, offices across the local government, offices across the state. There should be mega offices for the Obidient Movement by now. Of course, these offices aren't supposed to come from the pocket of the national coordinator in person. But the way and manner you go about doing the coordination of the Obidient Movement will trigger the volunteerism spirit of the Obidient Movement towards offering their offices, their homes as offices of the Obidient Movement. By now, we should have centers spread across the country. But here we are, even the National Secretariat of the Obidient Movement is not even active. That should be like the airports, the touchdown spots for all obedience worldwide. That center should be busy, taking notes, receiving different structures of different tribal groups, coming to register and belong to the Obidient Movement. That's the office of the Obidient Movement in Life Camp. But as of today, what is the use of that office? A very gigantic office that should have been put to use. Unfortunately, it's just left for the brigade to take care and warm the premise until whenever there is any political event. No, that's not the Obidient Movement that we fought for. That's not the Obidient Movement that we collectively came together to build. I'm using this opportunity to speak to His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi. If we have succeeded to build on the energy that Professor Patutomi described as the organic bulb, right? Organically coming together, energizing the movement. If we have succeeded in building on 2022, 2023, until this moment, I think Bola Ahmed Tinubu will even have to take excuse that, please, I want to pass today. Oh, can you please allow me? I mean, let me be able to pass. But we failed. We failed woefully. We could not build on that energy. And this blame goes out to everyone, including myself. We all failed. So we need to go back to the drawing board. We need to build the organic Obidient Movement as it were. Because what we have currently, honestly, cannot even win councillorship election. That's the blatant truth. What we have currently cannot win councillorship election. We need to go back to the drawing board and return the Obidient Movement back to the original owners, the volunteers that came together to be doing this thing to the extent that the name Obidient came to pass. There's need to take it back. Let's just take it back to the original owners. That's my advice to His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi. Whoever feel offended, I'm unapologetic about it because we have a country to save. On this note, I'll be welcoming my guests so that we'll have a discourse around the topic of the day and be able to have a common understanding and discussion around the topics that have been so selected for today. Welcome to People's Parliament. I am your host, Mr. Ako Christian Ochel, otherwise known as Due Process. Would you mind having a conversation on the subject matter? Please unmute and speak. Thank you. Do we have any speaker in the house? Senator Joseph, you are muted. Okay. While I wait for speakers, I will have to continue on. Okay, Joseph, you want to speak? Yes, good evening and welcome to People's Parliament.
Yeah, I want to say very good evening to you all and our dear listeners who are listening to us all over the world. It's quite unfortunate and a very, very sad one because I got the information probably by 3 p.m. yesterday, but I was not sure of the information, so I wanted to get the authentication of that information before I could have my says on it. But I want to start from the obedient movement and their structures. How is and or managed presently? I think is a very, very shameful one when you check the structure of obedient movement in Nigeria today. The obedient movement, the organic obedient movement we know in 2022 was not what we are seeing today. And if I will tell you the reality of what transpires and how did obedient movement fall back to this, it's all traceable to the way and manners people spent a lot in 2022 on obedient movement individually, personally. They spend a lot, but comes after the election, instead for the likes of the leader to even appreciate their efforts, I saw some things there because there was a meeting we hold. Everybody were saying their mind, and I think let me be precise, 2024 precisely. There is this meeting we hold. Everybody were saying their mind that the structure, if they want them to maintain on this structure, they should allow the same structure to be the way it is, not by choosing leaders who you don't know his capability and his pure antecedent towards Obi. Are you getting my point now? Now, this issue becomes something bordering that along the line, many were choosing without the prior notice of the real call obedient ones who were in the forefront in 2022. Some of them look at it as if maybe their efforts were not felt. What they deliver was not supposed, and they were not appreciated. So that is the reason why they were kicked away along the line. And if you can check the 36 states we have in Nigeria today, I can guarantee only 3 states that obedient movement, their state structure is well structured. I can tell you of Delta and Edo states. Any other state in Nigeria, as I'm talking to you, their obedient movement structure are not there again, which shows that obedience is lacking behind, and they are the front runners of this OB movement in collaboration with the CPOs, the support groups were there, the likes of Peter Obi movement, POSN, Big Tent, and the likes were there all these support groups, none of them is functioning again. They are just there waiting for the money to come, and they'll start doing the needful of the way they call it they want to do, which is not supposed to be so. I don't know the kind of nation of country we are that the youth who want to take over their country, who wants their country to be changed, who wants a better leadership, are still behaving this way. Yes, we may be angry due to how we spend our money individually, financial aspects of our life, and we didn't get what we want. But that does not give us room for us to still relent. I'm urging Nigerians youth, especially the obedient ones, to come out again, to start another structure, because the obedient structure, as we are talking, even from the national the national obedient house, nothing is being done there. And that is why nothing is functioning in obedient movement today. Yunus Atanko is not doing anything to help the obedient movement. Yes, I'm saying this. Go and check him. How many efforts is Yunus Atanko putting in place to make sure that obedient movement stand and they support Obi as 2027 is fast approaching? We are already there. February 2020, we are not less than 11 months again. And the obedient movement is not where to be found. And they call themselves the support group, the backbone for Peter Obi. It's quite unfortunate. This is the kind of country we have. On the assassination of Peter Obi, due process, I must be sincere with you today. If Obi is not careful, the case of Fuchon William in 2026 will still happen in Nigeria. And nothing will happen. Obidient and Peter Obi should strengthen their security system so that we wouldn't lose another tough politician, a threat to the incumbents in Nigeria today.
If we are talking not about that, sorry, let me interject here for a while. Talking about our attack, 48 hours, almost 48 hours now, there is no action from the Obidient movement. No action. I expect that the state government house should have been preoccupied by obedience. But the leadership has not even realized that is leading a movement. I mean, I find it uncomfortable that almost 48 hours after, no protests in Edo State against the illiterate governor, the illiterate that cannot even express himself. There is no protest against him. There is no protest of any sort in the State Assembly. There is no protest against the police commissioner. Everybody just sitting down waiting for Obi. I mean, it doesn't make sense. People should know what responsibility they should be performing as leaders of the movement.
Yes,
election was stolen, and the leadership of Obidient Movement was issued 1,000 tags. Those tags, they kept them that there is no logistic to mobilize the structure of the Obidient Movement across the polling unit. Does that make sense to you? That Obidient Movement will not sit back.
Due process. There is no structure. That is a big lie. They don't have any structure for them to mobilize. It's when you have a structure, that is when you mobilize. They are just using the financial aspect as an excuses. They don't have any structure for them to mobilize. And the assassination on Peter Obi in Edo State will show you that the obedience structure is very, very weak. In Nigeria, it's as weak as anything. Where is the press conference? of the Obidient Movement. Up till now, after 24 hours, where is the press conference? It's quite unfortunate. This attempt on Obi's convoy is very, very unfortunate. This shouldn't be allowed by the Obidient Movement in Nigeria. This will have sing a lot of song in the federal government ear by now if the obedience structure were to be what it is in 2022. Imagine our 1 million march for Obi. You can see the crowd in every state, how they come out in massive. That was when obedience structure is working. As I'm talking to you, there is nothing like obedience structure in Nigeria. Yunus Atanko is even confused. That is just the fact. We shouldn't deceive ourselves. Obi should not relent itself with the obedient movement as I'm concerned.
There is no two ways about it. Thank God it's an interim. It's an interim. An interim should not even last beyond 6 months. Tanko should present his scorecard. What has he achieved?
He has nothing to present. He has not achieved anything as far as obedient movement is concerned in Nigeria. The one we did in 2022 was the interest of the masses who believe in Obi, not because of Tanko, Yunusa, and his Alice, or whatever they call themselves, his executive. No. But this time around, what have they done after the 2023 election? That is where the scorecard needs to present itself from. What have they done? What have they put in place? What is the template they have on ground for 2027 presidential election or gubernatorials in every state? The obedience is just a charade of itself as I'm talking to you. It has nothing to show forth as far as their structure is concerned. Go and fact check me in all the states and see what is their meaningful. I must tell you this tonight. If care is not taken, let Obi should not relent its campaign. It should move on, but take it away from obedient as far as I'm concerned. Obedient are not ready. They are not the people to trust in 2027. They would rather betray Peter Obi come 2027. I yield my mic due process. Thank you.
Thank you, Jefferson from Kwara State. What you have explained is just the same nationwide. I don't know how, I mean, it's not rocket science, right? You are in a movement, you go out every day, you see people, what do you make do with them? It's expected that the more you are meeting people, you are getting their contacts, you are fixing them off, seeking their interest in participating, and getting them involved in the structural building process. But I cannot just put my head around it. Grace, do you have a comment on this subject matter? Grace from Plateau. I believe you have the same story. We just have to find something to do about this. It cannot be sustained. Obidient movement has failed in all ramifications. If Obidient movement had succeeded, the way Bola Ahmed Tinubu, whenever he wants to leave the Aso Rock and move out of the Aso Rock to any part of FCT, be rest assured that that road will be grounded, blocked, nobody dare pass. Yet we have Obidient movement. Why should you allow that rascality? That shenanigans should not be allowed if we had a movement. And this has been tolerated since the inception of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Whenever he wants to visit airports in Abuja here, there is no flight that comes in and no flight goes out. The whole airport will be grounded because one human being wants to travel. You can imagine that. Yet the movement, it has become a norm. Everybody just sit over it. There is need to go back to the drawing board. This leadership has failed and cannot deliver even a councillorship. We need to go back to the drawing board, return back the movement to those that were organizing 1 million man march, to those that were setting up the structures in respective communities, hand over the movement back to them. Let them build it. Because what we are currently, there's a saying that we are all planning to fail. What we are currently is planning to fail because it cannot deliver even one word up 2027. There is no technology in place. There is no human resources in place. There is no security in place. There is no strategy, no planning. Until this moment, there is no central coordinating national, even national WhatsApp platform. We don't have. The only platform we have is channel. Channel or page, how do they call it? Where they just dump information. People cannot even comment. Is that one a WhatsApp platform? We need an interactive WhatsApp platform. That is how you know where there is problem in states. We have a problem and we have to solve it. It's our problem and we'll find a way to solve it. All right, I also want to react to a trending voice note that's indicting Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, where he met with some Fulani Emir in Abuja, Hausa Fulani Emir, as they call it. And he was telling them that the presidency that have been taken off from them has to be returned to them. Otherwise, anything after 2027, when they look back, they will no more be able to move to any part of Nigeria. And that they have to support him, vote for him, do whatever they can to ensure that he gets the presidency. Otherwise, their future is not guaranteed in Nigeria. This is somebody coming up on board to aiming to become president of Nigeria. And you understand there have been history, the Hausas, I'm not the one saying it, let's get it right, don't get it twisted. It's not my original thoughts. The voice note is going viral. If you need it, I already made a comment about it, I made a content about it, and it's available on Obidient Media TV. You can go there, listen to it yourself. The Hausa woman that is making that allegation, her voice is loud and clear in that clip. And she was very clear about it, that the Fulanis for so long have created bitterness between the Igbos and the Hausas. They have continued to create disharmony between these two groups. And she therefore has dedicated her lifetime towards sensitizing the Hausas that their problem is not the Igbos, that their problem are the Fulanis. That before the arrival of the Fulanis, the Igbos and the Hausas were living peacefully in Nigeria. But since the arrival of the Fulanis, they always cause division, causing problem, killing both Hausas, Igbos, all tribes in Nigeria, and that they can no more continue to keep quiet. She has dedicated all her lifetime to ensure that she continues to sensitize the Hausas. Some people will say try to be politically correct. We are talking about Nigeria here. We are talking about Nigeria. If we want to solve the problem, let us solve it. And if we cannot solve that problem, instead of jumping from the ground to anthill, we will remain on the ground. The mission is to rescue Nigeria. It's not to sugarcoat it. And if you are in to rescue Nigeria, we have to go to the problem, the root of the problem. Why should certain tribe continue to cause hate, disharmony, disunity in Nigeria? Why should the Fulanis continue to cause bitterness between the Arewas and the southern Nigeria? Why? Particularly the Igbos have been the major targets in this tribal war. The Yorubas too, those who have been brainwashed, not all of them, but those who have been brainwashed also fall for this tree. Right? So this tribal war started somewhere. Somebody is causing the disharmony, and we need to understand it. And the Igbos, according to the Hausa woman, are not the problems. They were living peacefully before the arrival of the Fulanis. It's the Fulanis that came and planted bitterness in the minds of the Hausas to continue to hate the Igbos. And she alleges that the 50 people, the 50 Hausawas that were killed in Zamfara, those that were killed in other parts of Nigeria, the Fulanis did not protest. But they are now trying to instigate the Hausas against the Igbos, that they are no more going to dance to that allegation. They are not going to dance to that instigation. They have chosen to continue to work in harmony with the Igbos. I believe if this kind of message will go around, it will help to heal the country from long ages of division. There is need for unity. That's why the message of Mr. Peter Obi are centered on unity ahead of 2027. With unity, we can remove Tinubu from office in less than 30 minutes. With unity, we can declare his office vacant in less than 30 minutes. With unity, on the day of election, Tinubu will even give up. He will decide to just step aside. Because that will not be able to rescue the masses. And if you are living in a community that is not salvaged, you are victim waiting to happen. Do we have further comment before I wrap up on tonight's show? Do we have further comment? Jobson, you have further comment? Grace, you're always a quiet listener. You have comments?
Due process.
Yeah.
I want to come in this way because having been trained, born and brought up in Kwara State, I think I've lived with Fulanis, associated with Fulanis very, very well. And I must say, the original Fulanis are not the problems of this country. The imported Fulanis are the major problem we are having in this country. I am not seeing Fulani as a problem of this country. I'm seeing our political leaders, the greed and power drunks of our political leaders that brought this actions of Fulani upon Nigeria. Fulani are very peaceful people from onset until our politicians started giving them what they know nothing about. And that is why they become a problem to us in Nigeria today. Atiku Abubakar, I don't know. I have not heard that, and I have not confirmed how true about it. Don't divulge information I know nothing about to people. But the fact still remains the same. He is going nowhere as far as ADC is concerned and 2027 presidential election is concerned. He has no place in the ballot paper. I'm telling you this. Mark this word tonight. Atiku is just playing a mind game. Obi is the candidate. Let us all support them. The strategy they are using is very clear. If you are politicians and you know what I'm saying, you will know that the strategy is for them to look divided to opposition. Innerly, they are united. I trust the process. I don't doubt the process of Obi becoming the ADC presidential aspirant in 2027. I don't doubt the process. It is a sure process. Whatsoever Atiku likes, let him use. All hands are on ground. And let's see how he's going to win the primary.
It's even going
That
to
is
be a
what
direct primaries. No
yeah.
more delegate primaries. So all
Yes.
of you decide whether you allow vote buying or you do not allow vote buying. If there is no vote buying, you know automatically the will of the people will prevail.
Let
So,
Atiku spend the entire fund he has in his bank account. I will assure you, we will collect the money and still follow Obi. Yes, we will squander the money, use the money to celebrate Obi victory. That is just that. I don't want to know how he's going to do it. So he has already known. He has an advisor. I was fortunate to talk with one of his boy the other day. He said my oga knows what he's doing. You people should calm down. He is just pulling the crowd for Obi. He goes nowhere. He is only doing it for 2030 presidential election. What he's doing now is preparing itself for 2030 presidential election. According to him, if he's alive till then. Are you getting it now? So that is just it. Atiku has no place in 2027 presidential election. He's a turn of the South. He knows the political calculation. He won't go there to just mess up things for his, except if you want to mess, and he can't even mess up anything again. It's beyond his power. Even his own children, his own followers are telling him, Oga, please don't spoil you. So he knows it. And he won't do that. So that is just it there. He goes nowhere. So whatsoever statements, let us just watch his statement. Let us follow his statement. Whatever he's saying, we'll
all right, we hope that
shall
he,
justify the miss. That is just it. So
we
Atiku
hope we hope that he yield.
has no place in the ballot.
We hope that he heed to this advice because as it is now, Nigeria have suffered so much in the hands of the APC, and we cannot afford to take yet another long ride of suffering. No matter how strong a rope is, when you continue to drag it, one day, that rope will cut. Nigerians have suffered too much. We cannot afford to go yet another ride under the APC. I wish all Nigerians to get active politically because no matter how you want to stay away from politics, politics have 90% influence on our lives. In all ramifications, politics either make us or mar our lives. If you think you don't need politics, definitely at one point or the other, you need medical care. And you then realize that it is the government that provides the power supply to that medical facility. It is the government that is supposed to provide all the medical facilities in that hospital. It is the government that is supposed to pay adequate salaries and remuneration to these nurses, doctors, and one day you hear that they are on strike. Even if they are on duty, how many laboratory facilities, how many medical facilities do they have? So we are all victims. It's not about, I don't have time for politics. Everybody must be dedicated to see that we add our contribution, our quota towards building a better society for everyone. On this note, I want to thank Mr. Jobson, as well as Grace from Plateau State. Thank you for joining. And our viewers out there on YouTube, thank you. I appreciate your time for staying true. And we're calling on His Excellency Mr. Peter Obi. There is need to go back to the drawing board regarding the Obidient Movement. Something urgent has to be done. We cannot continue like this into the next round of election. We are seeing imminent danger ahead. And there is need to come up with a more aggressive movement aggressive movement that will swallow all darkness across the country. And you know what that means. I remain your host, Mr. Akko Christian, otherwise known as Due Process, People's Parliament. Until I call your way tomorrow, do have a pleasant evening. Thank you for joining. Remember to subscribe to Kobe Media TV so I can get a notification on all live streaming events. Thank you and God bless you. Bye-bye. All right, thank you,
Good night.
Jefferson.
Good night, Due Process.
Thank
Yeah.
you.